In an astonishing turn of fate, I not only got one of the Grails from my list, but I also got the first appearance of the character that is in that Grail. So stay tuned to see what it is. Hey YouTube comic community, it's Jimmy the Geek Aficionado, and as you saw in that opening, I not only got one of the Grails from my Grail list, but I also got the first appearance of the character that is the subject of that Grail. And that's where we're going to start today. Before we get into it, I do want to ask you to click the thumbs up on this video, click the subscribe button, and ring the notification bell. We do appreciate you supporting the channel and the content that we put out. Putting our content 3 times a week on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, and just a lot of great stuff, a lot of fun stuff too. But let's get to the book. When I was a kid growing up in the 70s, we had a lot of great shows, right? A lot of amazing things on TV, very innovative. I'm not talking Fantasy Island or The Love Boat, mind you. I'm talking about hardcore science fiction, fantasy, adventure. Things like Battlestar Galactica. Great shows like that really push the envelope of imagination about what was possible, even in a studio setting. And like Battlestar Galactica, what I'm talking about is one of the greatest science fiction shows of all time. No, not that one. Not that one either. I'm talking about Buck Rogers in the 25th century. I'm serious. That show was way ahead of its time like no other. It had starfighter pilots, it had dogfights in space, it had barbarian bodyguards, robots, disembodied brains, and not to mention the starting place of some of your favorite actors from today. But most importantly, it had Aaron Gray in skin-tight spandex. Now, where does all this come from, you ask? Well, the first Buck Rogers story was conceived by a man named Philip Francis Nolan in a story called Armageddon 2419 AD. And it came out in a pulp magazine from August of 1928 called Amazing Stories. Now that's not Buck on the cover. That is another space story that happened in the book. But the most important feature of this particular novel is the original Buck Rogers story, where he was actually called Anthony Rogers. And well, he wasn't a starfighter pilot or a space explorer, he was actually a miner, but not really the important part of the details. The important part is that this particular book, and as you can tell, is in great condition, is almost 100 years old. Do you own anything that's 100 years old that is still in this great a condition? I mean, let's be honest, it's not easy to find. And these books are not easy to find either. But happy to get this year from a good friend of the community, JD. You can catch him on Thursday nights on the Comic Core as part of the Golden Guys, who has a wealth of knowledge on Golden Age books and pulp in particular. So now we've told you what we're looking at. It is Buck Rogers, and the Grail that we're talking about is Famous Funnies number 209, which is the first Frank Frazetta artwork on the Buck Rogers title, well, on the Famous Funnies title featuring Buck Rogers. Frazetta did a total of 7 books in the series from 209 to 216. All of these covers are fantastic, but none more so than this first one here, issue number 209. Now, you'll notice that this is a restored grade. And I don't mind picking up a restored grade book in a Golden Age book, especially since they're so damn rare. But one of the reasons why I didn't have a problem getting it is that the restoration on it is what's called a slight C1. and that's a light amount of color touch to the cover, which is what's notated here. Restoration includes small amount of color touch on cover and a tear seal to the cover. Now, tear seals you can remove, and you can also sometimes have color touch removed. So there is a possibility that I'll look to have that removed. It is also a possibility that the grade will lower a little bit. But on a book like this, unless it's going to go down a whole point, which I don't really see, depending on where the color touch is. With a low grade like this, a 3.5, removing color touch, unless they have to take pieces out, removing the color touch shouldn't be a big deal, especially since it's a slight amount of color touch, as is identified in the notation. This book came from Red Hood Comics. I was watching one of his claim sales on Instagram. I saw the book. I saw nobody going after the book. I reached out to him after the show and talked to him about it, and we reached an agreement, and it became mine, and is a very welcome addition to my collection. As I said, even with the restored. And one of the nice thing about restored grade copies, if you're going after Golden Age books and you can get a restored grade copy, keep in mind certain key factors. Number one, Golden Age books are far more rare than Silver Age books. You can find a Silver Age book that's restored. You can also find a Silver Age book in the same grade that's not restored, and you'll see a price difference on that. The fact of the matter is that with Golden Age books, there's so few of them in the marketplace, and when they were getting restored, it was at a time where that was a preferable thing. In a lot of cases, that's done in order to conserve the book's integrity. Now, if you're just doing that and you're not improving things like adding pieces, things like that nature, then you can get a conserved label from CGC and other in CBCS, I imagine as well. Point is that don't let a restored grade make you pass up on a book that you're looking for. The reason being is that that book may not come back around again for a while because there's so few of them, right? So those are important questions to ask yourself when you're out there in the marketplace and you're looking for a book and you come across one with that purple label. You know, how rare is the book? How easy is it going to be for me to find another copy of it? How much more am I going to pay for that copy? How important is the restoration to me? All right? Those are questions that you're going to ask. It's questions that I ask myself, and I know that when I'm talking about Golden Age books, I don't mind the restoration. I really don't, because it's not like I'm always going to be able to find a book out there that's not restored in a similar grade. I know that information, and I'm made peace with it. So having a purple label for something like this doesn't bother me. Thank you again for watching the video. I do appreciate you supporting the channel and watching me on my crusade to get 60 Grails in 60 months. Please, again, click the thumbs up on the video if you enjoyed it. Click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you can find out when I pick up another Grail. Thanks.